Are the Calgary Flames potentially reuniting with an old Flame that they dipped and let go so they could sign Jacob Markstrom? Let's talk about it here on Locked On Flames.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everyone? Hello and welcome back to Locked On Flames. As always, I am your host, Jess Belmosto, and I'm so happy to be here with you. And remember to subscribe to Locked On Flames and leave a nice little review, 5-star rating. That way we can get promoted to other Calgary Flames fans. And, thank you so much for making Locked On Flames your first listen of the day. As always, Locked On Flames is your team every day. We're going to talk a lot about the Flames trade deadline situation. Are they buying? Are they selling? Are they just cruising through the aisles, just window shopping? And are they going to potentially do something with Cam Talbot? Because there's been some rumors that he is sparking some trade rumors or trade interest, rather. So before we get into the good stuff, as always, we gotta swallow the bad medicine. Like when you take off medicine and it's like that gross, like grape flavor, but it also tastes like it's been mixed with gasoline and like cement. Well, that's what we're going to talk about, because we're not going to talk too much about the Avalanche game. We just need to hit on a few things. That way we can all air our grievances. If you're listening in your car, make sure like your windows are up and no one is like listening to you swear at the radio while you're listening, because I've done that. I have had conversations with a podcast I'm listening to or given my feedback, and then I realize someone's in the car next to me, or I'm at a red light and someone's looking at me like I'm crazy. So do you, but you can't win them all, but you certainly can't lose them all either. I'm glad that road trip is done. 3 out of 6 points. Not good. Absolutely not good at all. Congrats on beating Arizona. You should be able to do that. And I'm sorry, but allowing 3 goals against Arizona is not really a good look either. And I'm sorry, but only snagging 3 out of 6 points is once again an F. 50% is an F. And Tyler Toffoli scored the only goal again against the Avs. And, the Avs are in a weird position because they're also super dinged up and in that weird position of, well, we just won last year, so we don't really need to go super hard to make the playoffs, but we also aren't winning a lot or enough to secure a playoff spot. So they're probably going to be fighting for a wild card spot as well, or they'll make a push in the Central. Nikita Zadorov was on ice for 3 goals against. And he said that it was unacceptable. He's not proud of himself. He is absolutely taking accountability. And that's the biggest thing here. I think that if a player is able to say, I should have blocked that one, I should have, thrown myself in front of it, or I should have moved, or I was in a bad spot, it was bad positioning, then they know. And that is something that I feel like we don't see a lot of with the Flames. I feel like sometimes it's just kind of passing the buck or just not really giving a thorough answer. I don't know. I'm big on taking accountability and holding people accountable in real life as well as when you're playing hockey, because, it's like when the goalie isn't squeezing their pads and they allow a 5-hole goal, or if a forward is just passing too much and they're not taking the shot, it becomes a cause for concern, and it is something that needs to be rectified. But it's great that Nikita Zadorov was able to, own that. But if this is any other team, I truly think that Sutter would limit his minutes or, really work the first two pairings because they don't have the ability to do that, especially with Tanev playing dinged up. It's not sustainable, and Zadorov has been looking for a stable partner now for the entire season, between Stone and Mackey always kind of playing that role for whichever one can't fit it. But, I think that if you go back to limiting his minutes, you're allowing fewer penalties, less goals against, and there's less of a liability on the ice, which is the biggest thing. I really think that at the trade deadline, you have to bring in another defenseman, especially because Shillington is more than likely not coming back this season, and that is perfectly fine. Like, the Flames are in this spot right now not because they've been missing Oliver Shillington all season. Yes, is Oliver Shillington an integral part of this team? Absolutely. But at this point, they're out of the playoff picture right now by a few points. And I don't really see why you wouldn't at least want to secure at least a few more points by bringing in another veteran defenseman. It makes perfect sense. It was a really bad outing against Colorado. I don't think that there's any excuse for it. You're a middle of the road hockey team and you almost got shut out by the Avalanche. That's not acceptable. And this first franchise point in Vegas feels phony to me because they couldn't hold a lead. It was great to see them go up early. But, it was a 2-1 lead, and then, they just start going back and forth, and Jack Eichel gets that equalizer, and then just going into overtime, like, there was no reason for them to blow that lead. And for them to have to go to overtime is just silly to me. It's absolutely one of those things that could have been avoided had they kept their foot on the gas, and that's just not something that's happening this season. And I really want to see some sort of change when it comes to that. They need to be playing stronger hockey and, not wasting time on the ice. But yeah, congrats on beating the Coyotes 6-3. I don't know what to tell you there. That was an easy 2 points, especially when you just lost to the Flyers. I feel like it's, it would have been a little bit too much had they lost to Arizona as well. But coming up next, we're going to talk about adding a defenseman and just why it makes sense to. And even though they're more than likely a first-round exit if they make the playoffs, why adding a veteran defender now would be a wise move. But before we do that, I do want to talk to you about AG1. Our next partner has a product that I enjoy because I don't have to take a fistful of vitamins in order to get what I need to keep my body healthy, to keep my brain healthy, and to make my skin glowing. And with AG1, you're getting 75 high quality vitamins, minerals, whole foods, sourced superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens. And those are all great if you struggle with stomach problems or you just want to keep your immune system intact. Athletic Greens was created when the founder experienced a lot of gut health issues and ended up on a supplement regimen to recover, and it was costing him over $100 a day. So imagine paying your cell phone bill every day. That's brutal to me. And he created Athletic Greens after experiencing how difficult it was to create an optimal nutritional routine on your own. And absolutely, but adding AG1 is that extra boost that you need in your life. Right now, it's time to reclaim and arm your immune system with the convenience. Right now, it's time to reclaim and arm your health with your daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop of water, 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL network. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/NHL NHL Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Thank you everyone for tuning into today's episode of Locked On Flames. The NHL deadline is Friday, March 3rd, and join us live on Locked On NHL YouTube channel from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time as the Locked On NHL hosts break down the biggest deals from across the league. Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So my plan for the trade deadline is still a little bit up in the air, but I believe Nick and I will be obviously chatting on Thursday leading up to the deadline, and I should be around on Friday as well to talk about all the goodies that will be happening, and if we ever learn about the Timo Meier return. So I wanted to revisit this topic because we talked about it last week and how every team adds a defenseman. Like there's always someone kind of going here and there, and it's always a veteran, and someone is getting plucked from here to go there because systems don't always work for people, or they just like this player and a change of scenery is good, or they actually feel like this person's going to make a difference. So I'm like half joking here, but I feel like Mike Riley of the Boston Bruins organization may have popped up on people's radars because he did have a hat trick down with the Providence Bruins when there were a bunch of scouts there. And that was obviously like a career performance for him. And good news for him is that he's 6'1". So he passes the Daryl Sutter vibe check. In all seriousness, he's a good defenseman. He's fine. He's fine for a third pairing, but he takes a lot of high stick penalties. I think that he took like 11 high stick penalties in like 5 periods of hockey over the during the postseason last year for Boston. And it just felt very detrimental. But at the same time, I think the Flames really have to make a decision when it comes to their blue line. I think that they know that they aren't going to be utilizing Connor Mackey. He is, I believe, an RFA at the end of this season, and I don't see a world where he sticks around. I don't think that he fits in Daryl Sutter's system. I don't think that he is necessarily going to be a star-studded NHL player. Again, that is not a knock on him. I think that he had a weird time developing in the Calgary organization because he did I believe he made the jump from NCAA, so collegiate hockey, to the AHL in 2020. And of course, during that time, they had the bubble season and the pause. So he wasn't getting enough time to really dip his feet in the water and get a true taste of hockey. And that can throw people off, like people are human beings. And it's kind of like me learning Photoshop tutorials. Sometimes you have to do it a million times before you even find the right button to click. But no, I think that this could be one of the situations where Treliving throws a Hail Mary. He can do whatever he wants right now. He is still the general manager. He can blow this team up with one press of a button. Actually, not like most of the team, because like we talked about last week, some people have no movement clauses until like 4 years from now. So that feels like forever, but hopefully we're still gathered around here in 4 years talking about this. But I think in my opinion, Brad Treliving could definitely sell. I don't know if I always mention Dylan Dubé around the trade deadline because I think that he is a player that is attractive enough to other teams to make a move and be like, and like not laugh at this. Like, hey, do you want this guy? Especially with his growth this year, I think most teams would probably consider Dylan Dubé. I don't really consider him a player that truly moves the needle obviously like a Timo Meier or some of the other players that have gotten moved. I think Nino Niederreiter to Winnipeg really helps them, and it's just one of those situations where the Flames could get draft picks or a body. I don't know. I think it's just something that is, again, beneficial for them. I think, I don't want the Flames to trade Dylan Dubé because I'm selfish, and I think Dylan Dubé is a great kid, but at the end of the day, Brad Treliving could go out and get a couple draft picks and turn those draft picks into something else, or realistically, they're probably going to rot in the AHL until they're 30 or request a trade. Like, I mean, it's up to them and how they want to manage this. But I don't feel like the Flames are going to make the playoffs. I've pretty much said that since November, December. I don't think that the goaltending is there, and I certainly don't think the defense is there, especially with how Nikita Zadorov played against the Avalanche. I think that kind of gave us an inside look as to what's going on in his head. I don't think the offense is enough to go out there every night and make sure that you're snagging those 2 points. It's not there. And it's one of those things that it comes and goes. And if Brad Treliving wants to make a difference, or he knows that his job, like, he's not getting re-signed, just sell. Go ahead, because there are plenty of teams, especially contending teams, that are going to want what you have. And if you know you're not making the playoffs, what's the point? There is nothing that this unit or that this roster of players has done. They haven't done anything, and you're not going to continue to get get more out of them with the current coach in this system. So you might as well just sell. And it's just one of those frustrating things, because of course, like, if your team's not contending, you're frustrated with losing, you're frustrated being middle of the road, middle of the pack hockey, but you have to part with something in order to get something in return that could potentially change your roster. Now, I'm not saying the Flames are going to go out there and get Patrick Kane, because I think that is absolutely just not possible. Ivan Barbashev's off the market now, and I think we're going to be doing another, kind of trade deadline-y show Thursday to kind of see where people are at, and if the Flames have done anything, we're absolutely going to talk about it. But coming up next, we're going to talk about reconnecting with an old flame, Cam Talbot. But before we do that, I want to talk to you about Built Bar. Built Bar is a delicious tasting protein bar that you can have for less calories and fat and less carbs. If you're looking for a delicious snack to get you through the day, then look no further. Built Bar is here for you. What makes Built Bar so good? Well, for starters, they are covered in 100% real chocolate. That's right, real chocolate. If you're listening and if you get cravings around your period, you know how bad it is when you just want to eat all the chocolate and all the unhealthy food. But Built Bar is right here for you. They're covered in 100% real chocolate and come in delicious sweet flavors like churro, peanut butter brownie, and coconut almond. I don't know how Built Bar does it, but they are absolutely delicious. And if you're around a Walmart or a Sam's Club, run to the pharmacy section to get your boxes. If you're close to a Sam's Club, you can grab a 13-bar box of our hit flavors, brownie batter, and churro, and you can thank me later. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with me on today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, make sure that you're subscribed to Locked On Flames on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. So, I saw an interesting report last night. I believe it was last night, or I guess Saturday night. Cam Talbot has been reportedly drawing interest. And Ottawa, if they're looking to make kind of a little splash here, I do not believe that they are in a playoff picture or wild card spot, but it's one of those things that could benefit the Ottawa Senators, because they're rather good at drafting. So it wouldn't. Oh yeah, no, Ottawa is absolutely way out of a playoff spot and wild card spot. But they're good at drafting, and they could flip those draft picks as well and package them for someone, or more. You know, they could get a roster player if they really want to, I would say, for Cam Talbot. But if you remember, this is literally when I started hosting Locked On Flames, so it's kind of just like full circle here. But Cam Talbot and David Riddick were the Flames goalies in 2020 and 2021. Or no, sorry, 2019 and 2020. It was kind of an every other night situation for a while in Calgary with these goaltenders. And then Talbot had a very, very, very good January. And that's when Jeff Ward, interim head coach, made the decision to make him his starter. Cam Talbot that season had a .915 save percentage and a goals against average of a 2.6. So he was playing really well, and it was great to see. And he started in the playoffs in the bubble when those happened. He's currently in Ottawa with a .905 save percentage and a 0.6 goals saved above expected, which is pretty good considering Markstrom is a -4 and Vladar's a -3. So, it's always great to see, number one, a save percentage with a 9 to begin with, and then obviously someone with a positive goals saved above expected. So the Flames walked away from Talbot. Talbot walked away from the Flames and went to Minnesota, and the Flames signed Jacob Markstrom, thinking that he was going to be the real deal. And he was for 2 seasons, and unfortunately, it just hasn't progressed in the way that I think people wanted to. To be honest, I thought the Chris Tanev contract was going to be far worse. I thought that that would have been the contract that kind of aged like milk over the Markstrom contract. This could very well be a down year. It's not easy to predict goaltending by any means. We've talked about this, and I just think it would be a very full circle for Cam Talbot if he came back to take Jacob Markstrom's job. I think that it's one of those situations where it's low risk, high reward. You get some extra points, and you maybe you snag a wild card spot, and you don't make it out of the first round, depending on who you're playing, right? But I don't really think that the Flames need to look at that. I think if the Flames want to buy, they're not in the position to buy by any means, but if they wanted to, they could go after a Luke Shen and a veteran defenseman and just some sort of forward. But I do think that the defense takes priority right now. With the way that things are looking and how banged up the defensemen are getting this year, it just makes a lot more sense. If you had to pick one or the two. But at the same time, you have to think, okay, well, our offense is slacking too, and we need offense to win games. How are we going to do that? Again, if the price is right, it's one of those things where you do take it and run with it, because maybe you take the risk and say, hey, I think we can make the playoffs. I'm not drinking that Kool-Aid, but if you are, I would love to know what it's like to be like, just to lack critical thinking skills. And I mean that in the most respectful way possible. I don't see the Flames making the playoffs this year, and I wish I could be more positive about it, but there was a review left on iTunes, and it said something like, I'm sorry, but I had to unsubscribe because some of your takes are just so out there. Good luck. And that's just what I think of. Is me saying I don't think the Flames making the playoffs. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. Is that what's driving people away? But no, I think you have to look at it realistically. Is this team better than the LA Kings. Is this team better than the Seattle Kraken? You know, those are not two names I thought I'd be saying this year. But everything changes. Who knows? This is one of those circumstances that it just makes you laugh because of how big Brad Treliving went this offseason, and we thought it was going to be good. And now we just look like clowns. But we do love clowning around here on Locked On Flames, and we hope that you stick around for it because we have a lot more to talk about this week, including a Bruins preview with Locked On Bruins host Ian McLaren, who just had Brad Marchand on his show. So, you know, that's quite the guest differential when you go from like Brad Marchand to me. But that's okay. That is A-okay. You know, you're going to want to listen to that. Nick is back on Tuesday as well. We're going to talk all about just the analytical side of things and the bigger picture. And of course, we are going to have a preview of the two very important games against the Minnesota Wild with Seth Topo of Locked On Wild. So stick around, subscribe, make sure your notifications are on, and come say hi to us in the YouTube comments. Bye-bye.